I ran away from home, so my parents told the cops I was an addict. When my grandpa died, I inherited all of my grandmother's music boxes. They were absolutely gorgeous and worth a lot of money, but I had them set up in my room as decoration. I was never going to sell them or give them away. They were precious to me. One day, I angered my dad and he flew into a fit of rage. I don't even remember what I did or said to piss him off so much, but I remember that he went into my room and destroyed everything. He broke my furniture, smashing the wood of the dresser and desk. I screamed at him to stop, tears flowing down my cheeks as I was helpless to watch him get closer to my precious music boxes. Then he began picking each one up and throwing it on the floor, shattering them one by one. I choked on my spit and began bawling my eyes out. I've never seen him get so angry and destructive, but I promised myself then that I would never speak to my father again, not after what he did. I grabbed my shoes and backpack and raced out of the back door. I refused to go home. I would rather live on the streets. I was 16 at the time, and I was done with how my parents treated me. I walked for 30 minutes before finding myself in a park across town. I sat down on the bench and thought about my parents. I didn't have a bad life. My parents always treated me like an outsider in my family, but at least I was fed and clothed. The only thing I really lacked was my family's love. My dad never abused me, not really. My mom would often hurt me with her words, but again, she never laid a hand on me. I knew my dad had a temper, but I wasn't usually on the receiving end of it, so it shocked me and scared me when he destroyed my room like that. The sound of a siren suddenly brought me out of my thoughts. I glanced up to find a police car parked in the parking lot with its lights flashing. I frowned. How long was I sitting at the park for? A cop climbed out of the car and strolled over to me, shining his flashlight on my face. I squinted against the light. "Alexis?" he asked. I sighed. "That's me." The cop nodded and took a seat on the bench next to me. "Want to tell me what's going on?" he asked. I shrugged. "I'm just leaving," I muttered. "I'm not going home." The cop frowned and stood. "You can come with me the easy way or hard way," he said. His voice suddenly changed from gentle to hard and unyielding. His hand rested on the belt around his waist. I stared at him with wide eyes. "Why?" I asked. "Your parents are worried sick about you," he said firmly. "They told us everything. How you destroyed your room because you're going through withdrawals." I blinked, unsure what I was hearing. Then I laughed, loud and hard. I couldn't believe this. Of course my parents would lie like that, making me sound like the bad guy. "Do you want to know the truth?" I demanded. The cop shook his head. "We found bags of white powder in your room," he said. "Come on, kid, let's go." He grabbed my arm and dragged me to the car, shoving me in the back seat. I was silent and fuming by the time we reached the house. He dragged me into the house and my parents immediately began playing the kind and caring parents that they weren't. They tried to hug me and say how worried they've been. I shoved them off me with a sneer. "Why don't you tell the cops the truth?" I snapped. "That you're the ones who destroyed my room and planted the powder. I've never done anything in my life." Mom laughed nervously. "What are you talking about?" she asked. "Why are you lying?" I shook my head in disgust. Another officer entered the house from the backyard, holding one of the bags of powder with a frown on his face. "This is baking soda," he announced. Mom instantly paled while Dad grew red in the face. The cop who went after me narrowed his eyes on my parents. "Why would you plant this in your daughter's room?" he asked harshly. "She's a bad kid," Mom suddenly screamed. "We want her out of the house." The cop drew himself to his full height, a scary look on his face. "Ma'am, you know falsifying a police report is a crime," he said in a deep voice. "You're gonna need to come with us." A case was opened against my parents, and I was removed from their home, placed with a nice foster family until I was able to get emancipated. I cut my parents out of my life for good, and last I heard, they were shunned in their community after everyone heard what they did to me.